This colony runs at the scale of $100 billion logistics company. No trucks, no warehouses, no earnings call. No CEO has ever stepped inside the building it runs from. But it has never missed a delivery in 60 million years. It runs on 6 legs, and it has never gone bankrupt. Every dawn, thousands of workers leave the nest at once. They travel roads they engineered themselves. They carry cargo 10 times their own body weight. And not a single one of them eats what they're carrying. You're about to find out why that one fact makes this colony a better logistics operator than most companies on Earth. Watch where the leaf actually ends up. Not in a mouth, underground, in a chamber built for one purpose. Workers chew it down into pulp. That pulp feeds something else entirely, a fungus cultivated like a crop, climate-controlled, guarded against contamination, fed on a fixed schedule. That fungus is the only food this colony eats. The leaf was never dinner. It was freight. This is vertical integration, running 60 million years before anyone in finance had the term for it. A single queen runs the entire operation. She can lay up to 1,000 eggs a day, every day, for over a decade. That's not reproduction. That's workforce scaling. A mature colony can hold 8 million ants, a bigger headcount than most multinational corporations. Every one of them takes orders from chemical signals, not managers. No meetings, no memos, just pheromone trails, refreshed constantly, keeping millions of workers synchronized without a single conversation. Look at one ant riding on top of a leaf, doing nothing, not steering, not cutting, not carrying. Why would a colony waste a worker like that? It isn't wasting anything. That ant is a bodyguard. Its only job, fight off parasitic flies trying to lay eggs in the neck of the ant beneath it, while its jaws are full and it can't fight back. One ant, one function, for life. The colony assigns every role this same way. Cutters cut, carriers carry, soldiers guard, processors process. No ant switches lanes, ever. A minor worker is born small and stays small for its entire life. A soldier is born with oversized jaws built for combat and never once tends the fungus garden. The career was decided in the nursery before the ant ever saw daylight. Compare that to how most companies talk about flexibility. They claim it constantly. They rarely build it. Underneath the language, the org chart is usually just as fixed as this colony's. A generalist costs you optionality. A specialist becomes your infrastructure. Amazon didn't invent the warehouse caste system. Pickers, packers, sorters, drivers. It rediscovered something ants engineered first. Specialized labor only works if the right material shows up at the right time. This colony also runs something that looks exactly like a modern manufacturing principle. It doesn't stockpile blindly. The fungus itself sends a signal back up the chain. If a leaf type turns out to be toxic or unusable, the colony stops collecting it almost immediately. No warehouse fills up with rejected material. No wasted trips pile up on a shelf. Foraging scales up or down based on what the garden actually needs that day, not what was planned weeks in advance. That's a textbook definition of just-in-time logistics. Pull the input only when the system downstream signals demand, not before. Most human supply chains learned this lesson the hard way, after years of overproduction and warehouses full of inventory nobody wanted. This colony learned it through millions of years of one feedback loop. Don't carry what the factory can't use. And getting that material there at all depends on something most people walking past would never notice. These trails look natural. They are not. They're engineered, cleared, and patrolled on a fixed schedule. Soldier ants drag twigs and pebbles off the path before traffic ever builds up behind them. Some colonies maintain trails stretching nearly 500 feet from the nest. For an ant the size of a grain of rice, that's roughly the human equivalent of commuting 20 miles each way every single day. Underground, the tunnel network can run 20 feet deep, branching into dozens of chambers built for one function each: nurseries, garbage dumps, climate-controlled gardens. This isn't a den. It's a distribution center with its own zoning plan. You'd assume more clearing is always better. It isn't. Researchers who modeled this exact behavior found something the colony already seems to know. Clear too aggressively, and the maintenance crew costs more than the time it saves. Get the ratio wrong, and the colony bleeds energy, keeping a road that doesn't pay for itself. Get it right, and the investment breaks even within days. This is the same math behind every capital expenditure decision a company makes. Infrastructure isn't free just because it looks efficient. It has a break-even point. Cross it, and you're funding overhead, not output. Engineering solves the threat you can see. It doesn't solve the one you can't. There's a threat to this operation that has nothing to do with logistics. A parasitic fungus called Escovopsis can invade the garden and destroy it from the inside. If it takes hold, the colony's entire food source can collapse within weeks. The ants don't just hope it stays away. They carry their own defense, permanently, on their bodies. A layer of bacteria living on their exoskeletons produces natural antibiotics that kill the parasite on contact. This isn't a backup plan. It's standing security built into the workforce itself. Every company with a valuable asset faces the same exposure. Competitors copy it, counterfeiters steal it, insiders leak it. The companies that survive long-term don't just build the asset, they build permanent defense around it before an attack ever happens. The ants figured this out without a legal department or a single patent filing. Even with that defense in place, one danger remains completely unsolved. Now block that road. One stick, one obstruction. Watch what happens. The colony doesn't slow down. It panics. Workers swarm the blockage. Traffic backs up behind it within minutes. Underground, the processing chambers start running short within hours, not days. There's no buffer stock, no second warehouse, no backup supplier waiting in reserve. In 2021, one ship did this to global trade. The Ever Given, a container ship the length of 4 football fields, wedged sideways across the Suez Canal. For 6 days, nothing moved. Ships were forced to reroute around the entire continent of Africa, adding thousands of miles to every voyage. 12% of global trade runs through that single canal. $9 billion a day sat stalled, because one route had no redundancy built in. The ant colony carries that same exposure every day it exists. One choke point, 0 alternate route, total dependency. Some colonies respond by cutting a brand new trail through unfamiliar ground, burning enormous energy and exposing workers to predators they'd normally avoid. Improvising under crisis always costs more than the redundancy would have. This is the risk hiding inside every single supplier contract. Efficiency without redundancy isn't efficiency. It's exposure, wearing efficiency's name tag. Here's what nobody tells you about this colony. The leaf was never the asset. The fungus was. When a new queen leaves to start her own colony, she carries no food. She carries a single fragment of fungus tucked inside her mouth across miles of open ground. That fragment is the entire startup capital of a brand new company. Lose it, and there's no colony. Just one ant alone with nothing to build on. Before she ever leaves the nest, she mates with multiple males in a single flight and stores enough sperm to last 15 years without mating again. She isn't just carrying a fungus sample, she's carrying the colony's entire future labor supply, pre-funded, before a single brick of infrastructure exists. Leaves are replaceable. Almost any tree works. The fungus is not. It took the colony's ancestors roughly 30 million years to fully domesticate that fungus into the form it depends on today. That's not a supply chain. That's a research and development program longer than human civilization has existed. It can't be foraged from the wild. It can't be substituted on short notice. If it dies, the colony dies with it, no matter how much raw material keeps arriving on schedule. That's the entire logic of vertical integration, in nature or in finance. You don't protect the truck. You protect the factory the truck feeds. Every leaf cut, carried and processed exists for one reason: keep one irreplaceable asset alive. That asset is the real company. Every worker, every trail, every soldier on patrol, all of it is just logistics, built to protect one thing. A single stick on a single trail can collapse the entire operation, not because the leaf mattered, because the leaf was the only thing standing between the fungus and starvation. The same exposure exists for any company that outsources its entire supply chain to one overseas partner, one shipping lane, one supplier with no backup. You can own the most valuable asset in your industry and still go bankrupt, because the road feeding it had exactly one path, and that path got blocked. You now understand why this colony runs like $100 billion freight company. Specialized labor, engineered roads, built-in defense, and one point of total failure hidden underneath all that efficiency.